Hey, how y'all doing on this chili bones? I said chili bones. Let me stop. Okay, y'all. I was just here. I'm gonna speak a little bit on the. I'm gonna speak a little bit about the angel of death because I think people got it misconstrued, and the angel of death is neutral. It's neutral. It's not good or bad. It's neutral. It just God created it. It perform a function. When God sent it out, you better be in your safe place. And I'm gonna use the Bible to explain that the angel of death is neither bad nor good. It's neutral in all this. It perform a function. Because in my video yesterday, I told you I was in the room and I heard these names being called. I didn't know these names. I just heard, I was just in this room with these names being called. And God let me hear 3 names. And then God pulled me out the vision and I woke up. And so from that point, I was trying to figure out these names. But the names represented people that had died. I didn't know this. I just knew it was somebody around me that knew these names. But the third name that was told, that person was still in motion, like that person still was alive on this side. But I saw the beginning of death for that person when I was in that room and their name was called out by that angel. I call it the angel of death. I think it's just like it's just like a process, and it's just not like one angel that perform the process, but I think it's just like a system of angels that perform like this angel of death. And I was in the beginning stages of seeing this. This is what I come to realize. I was in the beginning stage of seeing this when I was in this room and this angel was calling our names. Okay, so I'm going to speak a little bit about the angel of death as far as the Bible is concerned. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, it's not a bad thing with me. Like, it's neutral. I be like, what you doing here? Every time I see the angel of death, I be like, who you here for? What you doing here? We is very familiar with each other. He know me and I know him. And so I just be chopping it up like, what's going on? But when I see the angel of death, I always go outside. When I wake up, I always intercede and I counteract the death that's been sent out. So if I see the angel of death, that means death has been sent out. That means God has sent death out on whoever this person is. And the thing about God is through prayer, you can have a change of heart, like with Hezekiah. And you know, when he seen the angel of death, so I'm going to read about that too. And when he saw the angel of death in his room, he prayed to God and God extended his life. So when I see the angel of death through prayer, I can counteract I can counteract God putting the call of death on this person. I be like, God, if it's your will and you can extend their life, because some certain things just got to happen. Like certain things, you can pray all you want to pray, you do this, do that, it just gonna happen because it got to happen. But certain instances, I call it, you know, God can have a change of heart about the situation. And normally, if I see the angel of death and it take on the forms of these people, that means it's an open, like it's a variable. That means that death ain't got to happen. That means if I pray and intercede, the person might get sick because they got to experience some kind of attack. So my prayer is not going to remove the attack. It just remove the death that's attached to the attack. Do that make sense? Okay. So I'm trying to break it down for y'all so y'all can have a better understanding of what it is and all that. But the angel of death is not a bad thing. It's not a bad person. If you dying and you going to heaven, it's a good thing. Now, if death coming from you and it's from Satan, because you got some kind of contract going on, and he coming to collect, that's a different kind of death. I'm going to tell you that now. But the angel of death, that's different than you got a contract with Satan, and then he coming to collect. That's different. So there are two different things you're dealing with now. So don't put both of them in the same category. If Satan comes to collect, it's bad. But the angel of death overall, it's a neutral being in this whole process of life. And life and death is all part of this cycle. Death is a part of the cycle of life. So all of it is like, all of it is just all of it just come together. It's just neutral. It's just what go on. Like, it's just what it is. And it's nothing bad about this cycle of life that God created, even if it get to the point of death. Because, I mean, we in a fallen state. That's just the curse that come with it. That we live and we die. You know, Ecclesiastes. It's a time to live. It's a time to die. So, I mean, it's all being explained. But certain people got this negative connotation to death. Like, people got negative connotation. And I told you, for me, God reveals so many elements in it dealing with death. And death is not a bad thing. Especially if you're going to heaven. That's a good thing. But the angel of death is neutral in this process. And the angel of death is only gonna do what God instructed to do in this process. And a lot of times if I see the angel of death, I'm like, what is you doing here? And then I'll be like, God, I seen the angel of death now. I go and pray and intercede. And when I get through intercede, talking to God about what he sent out dealing with the death and him having to change the heart, 9 times out of 10, the person will get sick, but they will not die. It won't be to the point of death, even though death been sent out on them. Like, they won't die if I pray. And that's only when I see it in their form. So, yes, I'm tickled because people just so scared of the unknown. Like, they just got this, like, ooh, you talking about death. You know, death is a part of the cycle of life, right? You can't talk about life and not talk about death. Everything. Let me stop. I mean, it is what it is. Now, some people got their fingers crossed, like, ooh, I'm be up in the rapture. I ain't going to even experience the death. Some people going to bypass the death. But it's like during that time where Jesus coming and all that, you know, certain people do feel like they're going to bypass death. That's not going to be for everybody. That's not going to be for everybody. And everybody that was before you had to die. We in a time period where, according to the rapture, certain people may not experience the death. Like, they just may not experience the death. But everybody that been living since the earth been born before you has died. People after you that is born, they will die. But people got their mindset on, like, define death. And death is a part of the cycle. So I'm speaking on this because, like, for me, death is not a bad thing. The angel of death is neutral. A lot of times if I see the angel of death, I be like, yeah, wait, yeah, what's up? Like, what you doing? I know who you is. Because in my dream, I'm finna go into this, but in my dream, when I was in the vision, the angel of death was in the back room, and it was just sitting on the bed. Nobody knew who this was. Like, everybody in the house was like, who is that in the back? Who is that in the back? Like, that's how they was in the dream. And the house was full of people, but they didn't know who this was. And so when one way or another, they came to me and was like, it's somebody in the back. Who is that? And when I looked, I said, yeah, I know who that is. I even called them by their name. I called them by their name. And I was like, yeah, I know exactly who that is. Nobody knew who that was. And it was the angel of death. And everybody just in the house was like, who is this? Like, it's somebody in the house, like, we don't know who this person is. I was like, you don't know who that is? That's the angel of death. I ain't say angel of death, I said the name though. But I'm finna read this right here to back what I'm saying with the Bible, because a lot of people might be like, ooh, she talking about the dead. The angel of death and all that other stuff going is two different things. Do not put that in the same category. The angel of death, it was designed, and all it do is call out names in this place eternally. It called out names eternally, just like it's a book of life, and this names is called out eternally. It's another book, the book of death. And this angel was created, and it's designed to call out names eternally. And when it speaks, its voice is thunder. So every name, I don't know, you know how the sound of thunder, but like if it was to say something like, trying to think of a name, like Tabitha, it'd be like Tabitha, but it'd be like thunder. And the power of the thunder would cause this shaking, earthquake like shaking in the room. But the voice was like this powerful thunder behind every name. Like the name, the words that came out of his mouth, and the power that it had to the effect of causing this earthquake behind every name, every syllable. It was a loud thunder in everybody's name. Everybody's name had this thundering sound as this angel thing was calling out these names. And this is the place that God showed me. I'm gonna speak because, you know, people be like, it wasn't in the Bible. That's not in the Bible. That's not in the Bible. You got to realize, when the people wrote the Bible, it was nothing before that person's writing to confirm what they saw. When they wrote the Bible, they locked in their experiences. But before their experiences, there was no experience. There was nothing documented before their time to say, well, this didn't come from God, because it's nowhere in the Bible. Because they didn't have that. They was creating these documents as they was going on with their revelation in their lives. They were creating these firsthand. So if they going through firsthand, even with the book of Revelation, it wasn't nothing before John to talk about the book of Revelation. So when John is talking about, he see all this stuff. You got skeptics that say, well, I don't believe that's true, because it's nowhere that it say this gonna happen, that gonna happen. It's because it was before its time and it ain't been written out yet. But when John came, he wrote it out. So now he got documentation to say, okay, this is what's going to go on. That's what's going to go on. But before John, what did you have to say this is the book of Revelation? Like, you had nothing till he wrote it and he documented it. So a lot of these interactions that people going to have, these going to be firsthand encounters, firsthand documentation. Like, you're not going to be able to go in the Bible and say, I don't see it in the Bible, so it's not true. Because they writings is creating and extending God's word. It's extending it. Like, God is still living now. Do you know how long the book of Revelation was written? Do you know how many years after the book of Revelation, even into now, there's documentation and God is steady doing stuff and people is steady writing stuff after the book of Revelations, dealing with what God is saying, that you is going to document this for the generations to come? Just like John had to document the book of Revelations, and other people that's in the Bible had to document what they saw after it happened. It wasn't no documentation before then. Peter couldn't go to the book and say, okay, what this say? What that say? They had the Old Testament to kind of guide them through that. But while they had the Old Testament, they was writing the New Testament. Do that make sense? So they in the old, reading the old as a reference point, but while they doing that, they're also creating new documentation that's going to be used for future generations to come. God got people now, we're writing things that's for future generations to come. So you might not see it in the Bible. You might not be able to confirm it. Shoot, get with the Holy Spirit. I'm sure He's going to tell you yes or no. If you're just seeking the truth to that level. But everything that's going on is creating the future generations. Some of these writings is brand new. Yeah, this brand new. Because while Peter was writing the New Testament, he was reading the Old Testament, and then the New Testament came out. So while he writing the New Testament, people might have been like, man, ain't no way. Man, that ain't in no old Bible. Moses didn't say that in the 10 Commandments. I don't see it. But God is creating a new writing and recording during this whole period of time. And He got people out, the 12 disciples, they didn't know it at the time, but they was going to document everything that was going on. And so while they looking at Moses as a blueprint, and they following the ways of Moses, at the same time, they still is shifting us into a whole new type of writing. And a lot of stuff that they was writing about was actually contradicting the Moses in the Old Testament. That's why I be laughing about too, the contradiction. So they following the Old Testament, but they writing about the New Testament, which contradicts the Old Testament. If you read it, it's a contradiction. I'm gonna let you figure that out and let the Holy Spirit reveal all that to you though. But in this process of them writing, I'm sure they got a lot of people that say, no, let me find this in the Bible. Let me find this in the book of Moses. Let me find this in the 10 Commandments. I don't see nobody that wrote about Jesus did this and that happened and that happened. Like, I don't see nothing about this. So it can't be from God. Cursed are you. You are blasphemy God, because even though you experienced it firsthand and God gave you the instruction to write what you see during your journey with Jesus, this hasn't been like shown to the world yet. So everybody rejected what you saying you see, because they going back to the Old Testament and the book of Moses to try to confirm stuff that you seeing with Jesus. Now, it's stuff that's going to line up because it's the truth. So the truth is going to line up all the way through the book. But we got new writings coming out. Everything not going to just stop with the book of Revelations. Everybody, that's not the stopping point. God is infinite. He's still writing now. He writing stuff that you probably ain't never seen or heard, that still it's going on now. And it's getting ready for future generations. So people gonna look at the book, at the Bible. They're gonna look at the Moses. They're gonna look at the New Testament, the Old Testament, the New Testament, and then you're gonna see other writings for future events, for stuff that's gonna go on past our time, to help the generation behind us. God got everything set up in order, and people can contradict and go back to the Old Testament. I just can see when all these new people and these new writings was coming about, and people going back to the old, trying to align the old with the new. Like the Bible talk about the old wine skin, right? Don't talk about the old wine skin. Yeah, like it's going into new. It's going into the new. Yeah, you can reference the Bible because the truth is God. But God is still speaking truth now. He's still speaking truth now. And so I think people just like everything into like this is the end. The book of Revelation is the end, and God is still giving people vision, dream, revelations for future events to talk to write about. He gonna make you write about it. I'm telling you that now, because you got to leave the evidence behind for the generation to come. So he gonna make you write about it. I'm telling you that now. And so he gonna make you document in some kind of way. And so he got people out. They documented what they had going on, and then you got people that want to like challenge these new experiences that's going on, and they going back to the Old Testament in the book of Moses and say, okay, it's not part of the 10 Commandments, so therefore it's not true. Like they ready to rule it out instead of looking at God as infinite and how did these writings even come about? Like just get to the point where you start thinking like that. Like how did the writings of the New Testament even come out? Because the New Testament didn't just boom pop up. It had to be created, and it had to go through a process. The people wasn't just given this book and say, okay, here go everything you need for life. Like they was living through their experiences, had to write about their experiences, and and a lot of their writings was used for the future generation. It wasn't even used for doing their time. They were just writing what they seen, and then one way or another it was formulated together, and then they got a book together and said, okay, this is the Bible, and then they used these books from all these different writers from all over and said, okay, this is the Bible, and then they pushed it to the future generations. And you don't think that's still going on now, where people is writing all this stuff that's going on, all this new stuff that God is showing, all these new revelations that's going on, and he gonna help people document this stuff. And if you go back to the book of Moses, dealing with something that's going on now, you might not see everything that God talking about, because he revealing new stuff, and he got people writing new things, new stuff going on. Yeah, you can reference it back to the Bible now, because the Bible is the blueprint for everything going on. But to lock everything in and say, well, okay, I read the book, I read when Moses, and I think the first writing wasn't the 10 Commandments. Like, wasn't that the first time ever that like anything was just documented about like what we can and can't do and stuff like that? Like, ain't that wasn't that the like foundation for like what we can do, what we can't do, like these laws? So what you think was going on before then? Like what the people had to follow before then? What the people had to follow, like even with Jesus coming in, breaking the cycle of Moses, breaking the laws of Moses, because he came to break their law. Because nobody could get to heaven under their law. Like everybody was cursed, basically. It was no way to live by the laws, them laws that was in place. Everybody was just going to end up in hell. So Jesus had to come on this earth, and he had to create a whole new, better covenant than the covenant before to give us some hope. So he come in the picture, and even though it do line up, you're going to see some contradiction with what's going on. Like, you're just going to see these contradictions. And so I be tickled, because people still ain't figured out that it's a contradiction, and you have to follow your heart, because what God tell you to do, God might not tell the other person to do. And it's set up like that for a reason. It's not set up that everybody don't eat no meat. God might tell you not to eat no meat, but just like John, God had him on honey and locusts. I don't read too many other people who died was honey and locusts. Now, John, he wrote and he said he had to eat honey and locusts. So if you look at John and say, well, everybody supposed to eat honey and locusts because John ate honey and locusts, it's in the Bible. You got to do what God tell you to do. God might not even want you to eat no honey and locusts. That was his instructions. That's why you got to build your own intimate relationship with God so you can get your own instructions. But you can't just go based on, God said you can't eat no meat, so nobody shouldn't eat no meat. God might not even give you the instruction of not eating no meat. That's just something that he probably assigned to that person based on the walk and what they got going on with their life. So when you build an intimate personal relationship, then you will start to get instruction from God one-on-one, what he wants you to do personally. Not the generalization of, okay, when I read this, they said no women not supposed to wear no pants and no long skirts, so everybody got to wear long skirt. Like, you got to realize, figure out what God wants you to do. Because he might want you to do something different in this process. So if he tell one person, okay, you can't, I want you to wake up every morning at 3 and read the word, he might not give everybody that instruction. So you can't shove that down everybody's throat. Those specific instructions based on the relationship God got with that person and what God wants that person to do. The other person might be a whole different contradiction. While he wants you to wake up 3 o'clock in the morning to pray, God might want somebody to pray 3 o'clock at night. So if you look at it in the flesh, it's a contradiction. But it's not really a contradiction. It's just you got to get on your own personal level with God in this process. And I think that's what people not doing. So everybody just trying to box us in, but you can't box God in. That's my whole thing and my whole message is you cannot box God in, so stop trying. God is infinite. Even if you try to get the word to line up with what's going on, God will create new writings. It's new writings going on. God had told me some stuff that ain't even in the Bible dealing with Satan. It ain't even there. I can't even speak on it. But I was just curious. And I was just like looking. I was looking at how everything playing out. I'm looking at his role. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this. So I had this question. And God, he answered half the question, but he wasn't finna answer the other half. This stuff ain't even in the Bible. And it's dealing with Satan. But just because it's not in the Bible don't make it not true. I can sit here and say the sky's blue. You look in the Bible and say, I don't see nothing that say the sky not blue, so the sky ain't blue. Like, how can you box in? You can't, like, it's not even enough writings to even contain Jesus when he was on this earth, the short time he was on this earth. So how can you contain God who's infinite, who had no beginning and no end, and you try to box everything in? Let me find the scripture that align with it. It's cool to have a foundation to align with it, but don't be so boxed in that this all I'm sticking to, and if it's not this, then that's it. See, me, I'm trying to open myself up so God can use me. God can't use me if I'm boxed in mentally. Like, he can't do it. Because if God is infinite and I'm finite or finite, so if God is just infinity and I'm boxing myself in, God can't, he limited what he can do with me. So mentally I have to undo all that what I learned when I was a kid, all of what I learned when I was in school, all of what I learned when I was growing up in church. And God had me in the best churches. Like, God had me rooted in the best churches in Memphis. I had to undo all that for God to use me. God even gave me amnesia. Half of the people, even now, I don't even know these people. I don't know them. Like, I can see their face don't have a name. Like, it's nothing. Nothing at all. Like, God completely removed my memory. And he did that so he can reprogram me, so he could use me how he want to use me. One way he got to use me is I got to have my mind open. I can't, because if I box myself in, I'm limiting myself. God wants us to think big. The stuff God want to do, you have to have the mind. Your mind just have to be like, it's no limit. Like, the sky's the limit. Like, you really have to be on that type level for God to even use you the way he want to use you. So I'm trying to open myself up to that. And so a part of this is even the writings. Like, okay, we got the New Testament that we got to go on. But what about the people who had to actually write these New Testaments? Because what they write in the New Testament, it's not in the Old Testament. So you got the New Testament, you got all these people who came together during a certain period of time and had all these writings. And one way or another, these writings were found. People put them together, put it in a book. But when these people writing these writings saying, I seen this, oh, God, Jesus was walking on water. Like, I'm sure people were going back to Moses saying, ain't no way Jesus was walking on water. I don't see it in the Old Testament. Moses didn't say nothing about Jesus walking on water. So you a lie. Make it make sense in this process. Like, just make it make sense. So that's all I'm saying. Make it make sense. You can use the Bible as a foundation, but you got to also know that God is bigger and God is steady writing. God got people having all kind of experiences even now. And it's outside of what you might see in the Bible, because it's writings for future times to come. And you're going to see these writings come together. And you're going to see in the future, these same people who had these experiences going to be what people going to be studying and looking at and saying, wow. Like Mary Baxter going to hell. Wow, she went to hell. And it's called a fun place where they torment people. Like, people going to be going back to these books. Like when Mary Baxter wrote Divine Revelations to Hell. That book is still being used now. People still use that book now. And reference that book now to help future generations. So God might have you writing stuff about experiencing what he wants you to write about. And what he wants you to write about might not necessarily be in the Bible. But it's him. And it should align up at some degree with what he's talking about in the Bible. Like, it all should align up regardless, because it's all him. That I am that I am. So it all should come together regardless. So when I look and I see the Bible, like even in the Bible, even when Jesus was on earth, it was just contradictions with everything that was going on if you pay attention. Because you have to deal with it on your own individual level. So you had the people from the Old Testament that was like, why the disciples not washing their hands before they eat? Why they not doing this? And then Jesus like, well, it's not what you put in that matter. It's what comes out, so to speak. The filth is not from the outside in. It's from the inside out. So, I mean, even if you look at his 12 disciples and how they were moving, people would call it a contradiction and say, nah, ain't no way. Because according to Moses, you got to wash your hands before you eat. According to Moses, you got to rest on the 7th day. So it's no way you could possibly heal a man on the Sabbath. Like, that's impossible. Because according to my word, and according to what Moses said, and according to what the Bible told me, you supposed to rest on the Sabbath. Everything was a contradiction. I'm going to tell you that too. Key word for you guys. So you have to deal with that's why you have to get with God on your own individual level. Like, basically the whole point of all of this is to build your own relationship. Build your own relationship. You can't have no preachers building your relationship for you. You can't have them reading the word for you. You can't have people around you telling you what you need to do. You're going to have to go directly to God and build a relationship so he can give you your own special instructions for the purpose he got for your life. Don't nobody got this purpose for your life but God. So what you need to do is go to God for your purpose and what he wants you to do. You can't go to other people for that. You can't even go, you could go to the Bible for that, but you can't bypass the relationship you need with God and skip over God in this process and skip over Jesus in this process. The Bible says it's only one way to the Father, and it's through me, the Son, Jesus Christ. So you can't do all this stuff that you're doing to bypass Jesus Christ to try to get straight to God, because that ain't going to even work. That ain't going to even work. So I'm just speaking on this real quick because I be saying a lot and everybody just feel like, ooh, this not in the Bible. So they like, yo, God said he got writings Satan don't even know about. He got stuff out here and certain writings out here that Satan has no clue about. Satan been here since ancient. Satan don't even got access and got a clue about these writings. So what is you talking about? What is you even talking about right now? So, yeah, you use the Bible as a reference point, but you do realize that God is creating a new earth, a new heaven and a new earth in this process too, right? Like, you do understand it's new writings coming out. It's new visions, it's new dreams, it's new revelations about what's going on. Because we going into the time where God feel like now I can tell them and I can show them. So now he's showing us the new. And he got people writing about the new in this process. So don't discredit everything that somebody's saying because it's new and you reading the old. Just like Moses in the Old Testament and the New Testament. I'm sure it was a conflict with it, because I'm sure it's people that were just like the scribes and Pharisees that just knew the Bible like the back of their hand. They knew the Old Testament like the back of their hand. So when God come with this new, when he come with this New Testament, with this new covenant, I'm sure it was some friction going on with this New Testament that was like put into the world. I'm sure everybody didn't just receive the New Testament, because look at what Moses said and look at the New Testament. And the Old Testament said this, that. But the New Testament said that by his stripes I'm healed. But the Old Testament saying this. But the New Testament is saying that God died and his grace is suffice. We don't have to go out and try to work our way into righteousness now, because now we have grace that's in the picture. So when you deal with the Old Testament, they ain't even speaking on no grace. Ain't no grace in the Old Testament. But now you got this new revelation coming out and it's speaking on grace. So how do you think the people received this new grace that was going around when they were stuck on the Old Testament, which gave nobody no grace? God came, he's striking everything down. It was no grace in the Old Testament. And then he sent his son, and now it was grace. So now they preaching grace in the streets. But guess what? Everybody was going back to the Old Testament saying, no, this is not true. This is a lie. They putting their mouth on stuff they don't know. But grace then came to the picture now. You read the beginning of the Old Testament, it's no grace there. When you read when Jesus died, now you see grace factor into the picture. Now you see that it's now through grace we get to heaven and we can get to God. We ain't got to sit there and do all the other stuff that we had to do in the Old Testament to try to cleanse ourselves. A filth that we can't, that was literally impossible to cleanse. So I'm just speaking on that, clarifying that God got new writings, new people, that like he got new revelations going on. Like I said, it's stuff he told me about Satan. I can't even speak on it. But he told me. It's just a lot of new stuff going on, new writings going on, new revelations going on. And he's getting people to write this down and document this, because this is going to be what people need for the future times. When we pass over, these writings is going to be what get these people through past our generations. Just like Mary Baxter, when she wrote Divine Revelations to Hell, she was writing for future generations to help get them through and let them see that this is real. So people might even been looking at that and saying, ain't no way. Because she dealing with the dead. And when I read the Bible and it say the dead, you're not supposed to deal with the dead. But God is tired of people walking around blind to the fact that it's a hell. God is going to let people have hell experiences, and they're going to see people that have already died in this place. God is going to let them see these people that have already died. Some of them might even have interview and talk with them about how they died, how their life was. God is going to let this go on. But when you read the Bible, ooh, she spoke to the dead. God doing this because he need people to realize he tell his sheep being blind and lost out here. So now he got to take it all the way back. He got to take it all the way back. And people is going to have these hell encounters. They're going to come back and talk about it. Yeah. And that's dealing with the dead. So, you tell me. Okay. And so now I was going to the angel death, because the angel death is actually neutral in this whole creation of God. Like, it's neutral. It's not good or bad. People might hear the angel death and might think bad, but angel death is actually neutral. If I see the angel death in my dreams and stuff, I just gonna be like, what you doing here? And then as soon as I wake up, I be like, God, see you sent the angel death? I'm like, I might not be able to pray the attack off the person, but I can pray the death off the person. Because sometimes people just, they going to go through the attack. Like sometimes you're going to go through the attack, but the attack is not going to be to the point of death. Okay, so right here, I'm reading about right here, I was reading about, I was going to read about the angel death. But I'm going to go into 2 Samuel. And this is David. When it's talking about, death being sent out. Because it's sent out. So when I see it, I'll be like, dang, you sent out? Like, who you here for? And then I'll be like, well, God, if you go back now and you see that this person just ain't got to die, like, can you spare this person? Like, I really need to go to Ezekiel. Because God told me to go to Ezekiel. Hold on. Okay, y'all. I'm going to read Ezekiel. It's 2 Kings, verse 20. And this is when the angel death was sent out. And I'm really just saying that when I be speaking on the angel death, like, it's nothing to be scared about, really. Because the angel of death is actually just neutral in this process. It's like an angel is just designed to do what it's designed to do. And I feel like a lot of time when I see the angel of death, it's a variable. Like I really do feel like, oh, it's not locked. So I feel like, okay, you sent that, but I'm finna go talk to God real quick. I'll get back with you though. That's how I be with the angel of death. Oh, I'm finna go talk to God. I'm finna go here talk to God. Because I see he didn't sit you out. But I'm finna go talk to him. And then I'll just catch you at a later time. That when I be seeing them come for people. Okay. So I'm finna read Ezekiel right now, dealing with this angel death that he saw. And just in case people want to just like call it demonic and call it all this other stuff, it's all in the Bible. If you look in the Bible, you'll see the angel death has been sent out many times. Many times the angel death has been sent out. It's neutral. It's not good or bad. Now that's different again. That's different than you got a contract with Satan and he's coming to collect your soul. That's way different. That's way different than just the angel death now. That's way different thing going on than the angel death. Who is sent out at its appointed times. Okay. It says Ezekiel's life extended. In those days Ezekiel was sick and near death. And Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amos, went to him and said to him, Thus saith the Lord, set your house in order, for you shall die and not live. Then he turned his face toward the wall and prayed to the Lord, saying, Remember now, O Lord, I pray, how I have walked before you in truth and with a loyal heart, and have done what was good in your sight. And Hezekiah wept bitterly. And it came, I'm going to read this again. Okay. This is 2 Kings verse 20. In those days, Hezekiah was sick and near death. And Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amos, went to him and said to him, Thus saith the Lord, set your house in order, for you shall die and not live. Then he turned his face toward the wall and prayed to the Lord, saying, Remember now, O Lord, I pray, how I have walked with you in truth and with a loyal heart, and have done what was good in your sight. And Hezekiah wept bitterly. And it happened before Isaiah had gone out into the middle court that the word of the Lord came to him, saying, Return and tell Hezekiah, the leader of my people, Thus saith the Lord, the God of David your father, I have heard your prayer and I have seen your tears. Surely I will heal you. On the third day you shall go up to the house of the Lord, and I will add to your days 15 years. I will deliver you and this city from the hand of the king of Assyria, and I will defend this city for my own sake and for the sake of my servant David. Then Isaiah said, Take a lump of figs. So they took and laid it on the boil, and he recovered. So they took the figs, put it on his boils, and he was healed. So as soon as the prophet was sent to tell Hezekiah, as soon as Isaiah the prophet was sent to tell Hezekiah that he would die, Hezekiah sent up a prayer to God at this point. So when Hezekiah sent this prayer up to God, reminding him, sometimes you have to remind God, like, God, don't you remember? Like throw the word back in him. And so sometimes you have to throw the word back in him, like, God, don't you remember that in the Bible you said, by his stripes I'm healed? So, like, that's what you got to do. So, Hezekiah, he went and he cried and just pleaded his case with God about just extending his life. And so, before Isaiah, who sent the word he gonna die, could even leave, Isaiah was coming back to him saying, hey, God had to change your heart. He heard your prayer. He said he gonna extend your life 15 more years. And so, baby, that's what I was saying, dealing with that. And so, that's why I was saying, dealing with that. Like, sometimes when it's dealing with death and in its natural cycle, just the natural cycle of the angel of death, you can go before God and pray. And a lot of times when I see the angel of death, I know it's like a variable. And I know now I'm to the point where I'm just like, oh, if I pray, shoot, they're going to get sick, but they ain't going to die. Like, I'm knowing, it's no doubt in my mind that if I see the angel of death and I pray, that the person will not die. Like, I'm knowing this. Like, I'm so confident in this. But now if you dealing with Satan and he come to collect, because you didn't create some kind of covenant and he coming for you. Now that's different than just the cycle of life and the angel of death being sent out. The angel of death is neutral in this process. And so even with Hezekiah, you know, he's sitting down. He's sitting down. He got word that he was finna die. And then he prayed and cried out to God. And when he cried out to God, you know, God said, I heard your prayer. I saw your tears. I'm extending your life. So we do have that authority. And we can go before God and ask God, God, can you look at this? Like, you the judge, right? Like, do I gotta die now? Like, can I have my life extended? Like, is it a must? Like, is it any other option? That's how I be talking to God. I'm like, God, you tell me, God, is there another option? I need some other options right now. And 9 times out of 10, it is other option. It is other option. God wants you to know that through your prayer, it can change situations. Like even with this right here, and death already been sent out on Hezekiah. He prayed to God, and God had to change his heart and change his mind about even the death. He said, well, okay, I can stretch it out. Like, you going to have to die, but I'm going to extend your life 15 more years. So I can do that for you. So that's kind of how it was with this right here. Like, even though it's in his timing to die, God stretched his time and said, okay, well, I don't have to take you today, but I let you live a little longer, 15 more years, and then that'll be the final time for you. So you can pray to God about stuff like that, and he'll help a change your heart. 9 times out of 10, when I see angel death, he neutral. I be like, oh, okay. If I see the angel death, it don't never be no death, because I'm finna pray. If I see the angel death, all I gotta do is go pray to God, and then boop, the person that gets sick, whatever attack will happen, but it won't be death. Like, it just will not be death. And I'm confident in it right there. Like, I'm confident that if I see the angel death, like, all I gotta do is pray, and then probably get sick, but they not gonna die. And then the angel death be gone on about his way. So I'm just doing this video right here just to break down a little bit of what's going on and just kind of explain that the angel of death is actually neutral in all of this. The angel of death is neither bad nor good. It's neutral. It's here to perform a purpose. It's here to do a job. Like the cycle of life. Like angels, they're here and God created them and they perform a purpose just like we supposed to perform a purpose. The angel that God created also perform a purpose, including the angel of death. It serves a purpose and performs a purpose. Yeah, we don't want to die. But, you know, just the same, you can pray for an extension of your life. And when you read the book of Hezekiah, that clearly shows you that, yeah, you can go before God and you can, you know, state your case to him. And you can plead with him about extending your life. And as you saw with Hezekiah, God had changed heart. It wasn't nothing. God said, okay, boop, I heard you. I don't think Isaiah even got a chance. They said by the time he did something, he running back to him. Like, God heard you. Like, what God heard your prayer. Because he sent me back to tell you is going to live a little longer. I ain't taking you right. He ain't taking you right now. He said you can stay a little longer. So you got to realize God is sovereign. God do whatever he want to do, however he want to do it. God make all the shots, all the calls. God make all the shots, all the calls out here. So with him making all the shots, all the calls, he also deal with your life and your death. He the one make the decision over life and death for you. So, I mean, if he's dealing with life and death over you, you go before him, you can pray for an extension. Like, you got a right to pray for an extension from the creator, the one that created you, to live longer if that's what you want to do in this process. But in this process, don't get it twisted. And you got, like, a contract going with Satan. Because Satan is going to come before you. Because Satan is going to because Satan is going to come to you. And Satan is going to go before God about the contract that you established with him. So if you got something going on with Satan, and y'all got some kind of contract going on, and he did something, and he gave you something, and now he going to God like, look, I gave this person this, so now I want that person's life. That's something different now than just the angel of death that's going around. That's neutral in all of what's going on in this process. Do that make sense? Okay. So, I'm going to let y'all go. I'm gonna let y'all go. Y'all enjoy y'all day, and y'all just kind of be safe out here.